Okay, here we go. We'll do this first video. I don't feel like doing the other two. I'll do two other videos probably pertaining to other things. We'll see what the next videos will be about. I'm going to talk about topics, but I wanted to react to this as well because I was like, I was supposed to react to this with, what was it called? Lexus Exodus. Let's go.
It's a comment from you. And it says, in real life, most biracial women I have met are just modern black women with a white parent. Men don't have a voice in biracial spaces. When I put the video talking about biracial men need to leave biracial women alone, lots of biracial men agreed in the comments. Well, what is it that you meant by this? Help us understand.
In that particular comment, I'm not even, because that was actually in my Discord. We're having a discussion about. Well, let me close this up. I got you on my computer too. It's distracting. We're having a discussion about a gender war in the biracial space.
I'm sorry. Give me just 1 second. I have to make sure that my captions are on my screen because we do have people who are differently able, and I just need to make sure that whatever it is that we're saying is able to be heard, or rather read. Okay, there we go. All right, so if you could provide some clarity for this, that would be great.
Yeah, that was in regards to the gender war between the gender war coming from the manosphere between black men and black women. And I was referring to that a lot of biracial women hate biracial men, and they shit on biracial men and feel the same type of way about biracial men as black women do about black men. That was the gist of that conversation.
Well, I kind of feel that's actually more so the other way around, but that's not the point of the conversation. I mean, I kind of feel that way, but I mean, like, that's a good thing, honestly, because, I mean, like, well, biracial men usually veer more towards black women, and then they veer towards white women, but they don't really veer towards biracial women. And I mean, like, I wouldn't exist if that wasn't the case, so, I mean, I can't be too mad at that. But anyway, come on.
How do black women feel about black men? How do black women feel about black men?
They rightfully don't trust black men because a lot of the stuff that black men have done to black women.
Okay, so it says here, in real life, most biracial women I have met are just modern black women with a white parent. I'm confused by that, because what is a modern black woman with a white parent? So it sounds like there's a slight against black women in this comment.
No,
Yeah, of course there's a slight, but I don't think biracial men are specifically supposed to be beholden to black women or anything like that, so their opinion on it. My thing is with him is this. Okay, this is in reference to his own wife. He specifically thought it was shocking that his wife was a black woman who was a virgin. To have a low view of your own wife actually kind of asserts your own view of yourself, because you don't think you're really worth anything that valuable. If you think your own wife is not that valuable, or that it would be rare for her to be valuable as a black woman, to the fact that you think that her being a black woman means she couldn't even be a virgin, like she should be run through, she should be promiscuous, and so forth. That's what he said through his own videos. I'm just saying, it's the truth. You can watch his videos. I watched his videos, and I still do watch his videos. I'm a subscriber on his channel. Specifically showed that. So, to me, like, considering that's his view of his own wife, what do you think he thinks of other black women? Now, I don't personally think that biracials need to, think positively of black women if they're not with black women, if they don't identify with black people. But I have proven and shown how, in some sense, I think he may actually identify as black. And he has said that in the past, that he kind of did identify as black in the past. So, considering his video on Cleopatra, it kind of implies he does see some similarity to black people, because he literally says Egyptians are black people in that video. Basically, the Africans are black people, and the Egyptians are basically black. And his own mother is Egyptian. That's where he's saying he's supposedly mixed. But I guess for everyone else, Egyptians are black, but for him, I think maybe he wants to be mixed, but he doesn't actually feel he is mixed. I personally perceive him as mixed, so you get how that works. But anyway, my whole perception on this is I kind of just feel like biracial men, they don't owe black women preference or, a desire towards them, but I mean, like, people like him obviously do have desire towards black women, because that's who, he's married to. So, to me, I just kind of feel like in these situations, like, it's that kind of perspective that I've talked about with, like, light skin and biracial women who may feel like black men are inferior, but they still choose black men. Maybe because they think they're not good enough, which is really a bad perspective to have. It doesn't matter if black people are better than white people, black people are equal to white people. It doesn't matter what the reality is. It matters how that person values the person they're with. If they don't value the person they're with, it's not a good relationship, basically. Anyway, continue.
It wasn't a slighting against black women. I don't really think that's the real. I have to go back and look at it, but I think that was just me explaining.
Oh, it was a slight against black women, in my opinion, because what he's saying is basically that biracials are basically black women. Basically, biracial women are black women, basically. And basically, they're not any better than a black woman, which implies that a black woman is inferior. But like I said, if he actually did identify as biracial and didn't depict Egyptians as black people, and his mother is Egyptian, that's the only reason he's saying he's biracial, then he would probably, I would honestly say that it's not really a shock biracials, especially biracial men with a white mother, would prefer white women. To me, I don't see that as wrong. I've specifically spoken on Drake, and I specifically show how that's not specifically that wrong. If your mother is white, why wouldn't you value the race of women that your mother comes from? It's not really all that wrong in that perspective, but it's just the fact that he aligns himself with blackness in his own way, kind of, and you can kind of see that he does, in his weird way, think certain things like that he's connected to black people, and he's with a black woman. These things connect him to black people, and it's like, why would you have this mentality and still try to pursue black women? It implies he thinks what he has is not that valuable, and that's why he pursues a woman that he perceives as inferior, which is terrible, because black women are beautiful, black women are virtuous, black women are, religious women, good women, we shouldn't define black women by their color, Anyway, continue.
To them that, based upon the gender war, that a lot of biracial women hate biracial men. for various reasons that I don't understand. And I was trying to compare it to how a lot of black women feel against black men.
Yeah, but see, the thing that's confusing to me is where it says here, right? Most biracial.
What he's also saying in that clip, by the way, is that he aligns with black men. So I don't really understand why some of his clips are disparaging to black men when he's aligning biracial men with black men. You know, I personally don't think black men or biracial men have a certain personality different to white men. I don't. For me personally, I've always said this, my preference in men only has to do with physical attraction and also cultural similarities, which I find more white American men fall in line with my cultural expectations than any other group. I would say some, mixed race men do too, because I'm attracted to some mixed race men, you could say. But pretty much that's why, for me, I generally prefer men outside of my race. But anyway, continue.
The women I have met are just modern black women with a white parent. So it's like most that I have met are just this. So you're nothing but this. You're just this. Just is the lower part. You are just this. Like if somebody said you're just a janitor. So when you say you are just a black woman with a white parent.
Yeah, and also when he's saying just, it's implying the hierarchy, the racial hierarchy. This is a thing that is done to a lot of biracial women, is when you put people on a racial hierarchy, to diminish biracial women, they just basically say you're just a black woman, as in to disparage them for being part black, because they basically see black as the bottom of the bottom. Anyway, continue.
That makes it sound as if there are these problematic groups of people in society, and you are just like this problematic group, except you just have a white parent. So that's the part that's just a little confusing.
Well, if that's how you want to take it, that's not how I meant it, and again, that's how people want to. That's how a lot of the haters there, they want to portray it, but that's not how I meant it.
No, listen, I'm not. Listen, you know that I'm not a hater.
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about
but listen,
I'm talking about the women that hated me for having a black wife, that bashed my black wife, that called my black wife a yeti with a burqa on, that called my black wife a terrorist and all kinds of monkeys. So these are the type of women that you guys are getting your information from. Right. And I'm not really sure if I really want to entertain it.
Right. So, and I understand that I haven't seen those comments.
Well, honestly, that's terrible what those women were saying about his wife. But I mean, like, if you're gonna portray your wife as someone who it's rare or like it's really unusual that she was a virgin and black, period, you have your own views of negativity towards your own black wife. So I don't feel those negative views are just shared among those black women who are hating, obviously, but also you just happen to have those feelings as well. I feel sorry for her. Anyway,
I haven't been a part of those conversations, so if people refer to your wife that way, I can imagine that.
I posted the screenshots everywhere on my, but I can send you the same thing of these same women saying the same thing. Right. And now they're on here trying to make me look some type of way. No, they called my wife a monkey. So it's like, come on now.
Right. So
yeah, I never heard anything about those women. I just watched his videos, and this was something that he actually shared on one of his videos, that he was basically talking about this. So for me, I mean, like, I don't know about any commenters or any women talking about anything. All I know is just what I specifically have seen as far as on his videos, that was one of the things he touched upon, was saying specifically that that biracial women were basically just a black woman with a white parent. Just disparaging, I just feel like people like this, why not just get with a white woman, that would be more appropriate, I think, than trying to get with someone, because it says a lot to me when you're with a black woman and you're saying that. That means that you devalue your own wife. You did not choose a woman you actually wanted as your first option, because the first option in the hierarchy would be a white woman, because if black women are just a black woman, that means they're the bottom of the barrel as far as the racial hierarchy. That's what they mean when they say just a black woman. The top of the hierarchy is white women. So if your top woman is a white woman, why the heck would you choose to get with a, black woman who is at the bottom of the barrel? And then you are saying that other people are disparaging your wife when you've disparaged your wife at least 2 or 3 times on your channel that I can come up with just with this conversation here. So yeah, continue though.
Right now, you and I are having a conversation. I'm not talking about anybody else's interpretation of this but my own. And as you're talking to me, I am telling you that as I am reading this, it says, right? In real life, most biracial women I have met are just modern black women with a white parent, which means that the black women are exhibiting a certain set of characteristics, and then the word modern is thrown in there, which is a manosphere word, right? Modern women. So you're a modern black woman with a white parent. So you're just like black women, except you have a white parent. That's what I'm reading that as. And this is the opportunity that if that's not what you are communicating, this is your opportunity to be able to discuss that rather than saying, oh, well, I just have some haters, because I'm not a hater and I'm reading that.
I never called you a hater at all. Well, what I'm saying is the people getting this information are the same people that were saying racial slurs against my black wife that I was defending. But
no, he said it in his own video, though. Are you included as one of those people who are saying racial slurs against your black wife? Which, honestly, I mean, you do sometimes. You don't say racial slurs, but you do disparage black women. And like I said, that is a problematic union. When a biracial or someone of that type of racial subset is with a black person who they see as inferior, it is a very bad dynamic for both people involved. One, because you're with someone who really doesn't like you, and then the other one, you're with someone that you really don't like, and you're not with someone who is your top woman or your top man. It's not your number one choice. You didn't hold out for your number one choice. Instead, you settled. Anyway, continue.
As I said, I was comparing the way that biracial women hate on and bash biracial men who don't have a preference for biracial women. I was referring that to the way that a lot of black women and black men have that same type of dynamic.
Okay. So basically, you're saying that black women hate on black men and bash them in a way that you don't understand.
Sorry, can you repeat that? It cut out for a minute.
So you're saying that black women hate on black men and bash them in a way that you don't understand. That's what you're saying.
No, I was comparing how biracial women attacked me and other biracial men in that space for having a black spouse or defending black women, to how a lot of black women and black men have the same type of toxic dynamic.
I don't really understand, like, why would you assume all black women have a dynamic that is negative against black men? Personally, to me, I don't personally have a social negative experience with black men. The only thing is, getting hit on by people who have issues, but that's usually in, like, certain neighborhoods. Usually, and also, I don't know, that's different. But that can actually turn into a good thing too, on top of it. But personally, for me, it's just kind of like, I don't understand, like, I don't understand why you would try and act like all black women dislike black men. There are plenty of black women who love black men. Plenty of black women who are just nonchalant, really don't have a good or negative view, and there's the same thing with biracial women, I'm pretty sure. So I don't understand, why are you talking about black issues anyway, and talking about black men and black women and things of that nature when you are trying to claim you're biracial? If you're trying to stay in your lane, you should be trying to stay in your lane of biracial and not talk about black people. Don't talk about black men or black women. It's not your lane to talk about them. You're not black. You claim you're not black in whatever way, which is kind of weird. I think, honestly, the way I feel about this, I feel it's more so a hierarchical thing. And, like, if you really think that black people are below white people, like he states, then even if you felt like you were black, you would try to be biracial. And that's how I feel about this situation. I feel like if he really thinks that Egyptians are black, then he thinks he's black, obviously, because his mother's Egyptian. And if that's the case, then he basically thinks he's black, but he's trying to be biracial because he feels it's a step up. That's why he basically was telling the biracial woman that she's just a black woman with a white parent, to devalue her, to act like she's not that valued. I think that's honestly because accessibility, maybe some issue along those lines of, I do feel that he feels biracial women are above the woman he has, basically, and that he feels that he's trying to devalue them to make himself feel better about having a black wife. I don't think he should be choosing any woman of any color, because, like, if you really think that white women are on top, you should go for what's on top, not people who are beneath, because that makes no sense. It's going to be a recipe for relationship dysfunction. Anyway, continue.
Okay. Well, maybe if you could help us understand what your definition of a modern black woman is.
I've talked about it on my TikTok channel, so it's not.
I'm trying to refresh my captions right now. I haven't seen the videos that you've done, and look, what I'm gathering is that some months ago you may have been going through some things, right? I don't know, right? I'm gathering that you may have gone through some things a few months ago, and so I don't know if this was around the time that you were going through those things. So that's why I'm asking.
Well, this video that they're talking about was was about a year ago, and it was in that pro mix space that it was just a lot of toxic crap, and
you began speaking toxic. So you began speaking toxic crap as well, is what you're saying?
No, that whole space was a whole bunch of toxic crap, and me and other biracial men were defending ourselves from.
No, I think what he's talking about, that sector, is basically, some people have some self-hate issues going on there. things of that nature, where they're just constantly like angry that they're biracial and that they're part black and all this stuff. And so in that sector, it's normal for them to disparage black women because they feel that that's their scapegoat of feeling better about their position in life or something like that. Just odd to me. But anyway, continue.
For being attacked because we had black spouses.
You know,
I mean, anyone can look up the hashtag Golden Sphere and see for what it is. You know, that whole space was just horrible.
Yes, I agree with that. But my thing is with this whole situation is that you guys are saying that biracials are just black women with a white mother. That is implying that you are one who feels guilty about the fact that you married a black woman. You feel like you being with a black woman is a lesser type of woman than a biracial woman. And your way of getting back at biracial women is to say that, hey, I have a black wife, but hey, you aren't any different from a black woman because you are just a black woman with a white parent. That is what you're doing there. You're not addressing the fact that that how is being a black woman inferior to any other race? You're not addressing that. And the reason you're not addressing that is because you share the same views as the Golden Sphere. That's why you would say something like that. And, you know, this, honestly, I can relate to what what he's saying and that kind of reaction, because I dealt with that with the Golden Sphere, talking to people who were mixed and some of the other golden people who may have not been mixed as well, who were talking about how they were with black men and how they were with black men and how, you know, I've never had a preference for black men. I've always been with, always had a boyfriend who was either white or Hispanic descent. I think at the time he was white. And anyway, they were specifically upset that, you know, they were with a black person. I was a white person. And, you know, they would have that whole thing of, I feel inferior, so I want you to be on my level and I want to break you down, you know, kind of situation going on there. That's exactly what he was doing right here. It's the same symptom. It's the same problem. It's the same thing of, I feel the black person I'm with is not worthy. It's not equal to the white man, the white woman that you're with, the biracial man, the biracial woman that you're with. That's why they do that. You know, it's not an idea that, hey, my black wife is beautiful. I treasure my black wife. I would never want anything but my black wife because she is the perfect woman for me. That is, you know, actually valuing your black wife and actually valuing black women and actually, you know, seeing black women on the same level as every other race of woman. But that's not the point of view of this man.
Yeah, so you see, one of the things that we're doing is we're having two different conversations, right? So we showed the video, right? And the video is contained in and of itself. We talked about the video and you explained and we talked about the dolls and we have moved on from there. Now we're not talking about anybody else's perception. We're not talking about anybody else's opinion of the video. We're not talking about anything that anybody said in any other comments. We're talking about a comment that you made. And I'm just hoping to be able to get clarity, because I'm telling you, as a person who is a supporter of yours, that me looking at this comment, it looks bad, man. This comment looks like an insult to Black women. And I'm giving you an opportunity while you're on this broadcast with me to speak your piece and clear whatever it is that you were meaning to say, because I can tell you that from what it is that I am reading, that this to me looks bad. And I know that if we don't clear this up, that when we move away from this conversation, if this is not cleared up, I'm going to take this as an insult. This is why I'm giving you the floor to be like, well, and to give more context, because I don't understand what you meant by, you know, these biracial women are just modern day Black women, and that Black women be bashing Black men in the same way.
I understand it completely. You know, this is a common tactic in the golden sphere. Literally, the people who are with dark-skinned Black people usually do this. Like, they do that. They always try and act like, basically, in one way or another, that their dark-skinned partner is inferior, but they want to make you inferior too. That's all they do, basically. They don't change the topic of the fact that they are with someone that they perceive to be inferior. They don't address that, because that's their weak spot, basically, and that's the truth of how they actually feel. So you're never going to make them change that view. They're with the person despite the fact that they think that their partner, their wife, or their husband is an inferior person. And that is just not a good relationship to be in. It's dysfunctional.
That you're saying that biracial women bash biracial men.
I've explained it. Okay. I was referencing the fact that a lot of biracial women were attacking biracial men in that space for having Black spouses. I mean, most of those videos are still up. Y'all can just put in the hashtag. But and I was comparing that to allow the gender war dynamic between Black women and Black men, about a lot of the hate that goes back and forth in that matter. That's all that was. If people want to take it as insult, it was an insult, but I know people will spin it either way. So
I'm not even talking about people. I'm talking to you. I am taking it as an insult. So what are you?
I'm telling you, it was an insult. I've explained it the best way that I could. I'm telling you, it wasn't an insult. It was me trying to compare the way that biracial women were upset when us biracial men had Black spouses, and how we love Black women, to the way that a lot of black women felt when a lot of Black men have white spouses. That was kind of the comparison.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't understand. What would that have to do with anything? I don't feel any way towards Black men having white spouses. But I don't get what you're talking about. Like, that's weird. As far as, to me, I just think that the concept of saying that someone is just a Black woman is obviously adhering to the hierarchy, racial hierarchy. So you can bring up anything to try and get people's emotions. I think that's what he's trying to do there. But I mean, I guess it depends on the Black woman. Some Black women who aren't into or are unhappy with interracial relationships have an issue with that. Personally, I would never hate someone for doing exactly what I do. That just makes no sense. But anyway, continue.
So I'm confused as to why Black women were brought into it when it could be any number of women, white women who are upset with white men who, I mean, because if we're talking about mixed race people, it can go either way, right? It can be white women who are upset with white men for being with Black women, right?
But that's just the little clip that you got. There's a whole lot more to that conversation that I can put up.
Yeah,
so I can pull up. That's just the little clip that you all got that they're using to try to bash me.
I mean, It's not a bash if these are...
It's not a clip, though. He specifically says it in a video, and it's specifically like basically the major topic of one of his videos, his earlier videos, basically.
Your words. If somebody
He left. That's funny.
All right, so the broadcast timed out behind the scenes, right? The broadcast timed out.
Oh.
And so let me restart it. Give me a moment. And somebody said that I'm giving the biracial women what it is that they want. The only thing I want is the truth. That's the only thing that I want. And if we can't get to the bottom.
I don't get it though. Like, why is it always like life has to be, oh, black women versus biracial women, black women versus white women? Why is it always got to be versus all this bullshit stuff? You know, like when people say like, oh, you got to be against the black people or the biracial people or the white people because you're black. Like, what? What does that mean? You're giving the biracial women what they want. I mean, getting to the truth and the common interest here, I think would serve us both right in this regard. And anyway, I don't really think, even him using the racial hierarchy, which depicts white women on top, I don't think we need to necessarily be against white women simply because there are people out there that believe in a racial hierarchy that sets them above other people. That white woman didn't make him say that. You know, it's not her fault he thinks that of her. You know what I mean? I don't understand. Why did we take it out on people who did not have anything to do with other people's thoughts? This was angry biracials' thought process of white women and biracial women and black women. That wasn't what white women told but angry biracial to think. You know, anyway, continue.
Of what the truth is, then what are we talking about? So welcome back, Jesse. The thing timed out, but we're back now.
Yeah.
And so the thing that I was saying is, if a person presents, do you confirm that you wrote those words?
Yeah, that was over a year ago. It looks like I wrote those words.
Right. But so my thing is, it's not bashing if a person presents your words. Nobody is saying.
It's bashing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, so nobody is saying you're a bad person, you're this, you're that. Nobody is actually saying anything. All they're doing is presenting the words that you have said, and we're asking you for context. That's it.
It's bashing when it's taken out of context.
That's why I'm giving you the floor to put it in context.
I know, and these particular women that you got it from, again, are the same women that called my wife a monkey, called her a yeti with a burqa on.
No, that's not. You said that in your own video, not the yeti or whatever. You said these things about black women in your own videos. You implied that your wife was such a rarity among black women because she was a virgin. You expected her to be run through. So I mean, you think very negatively of black women, and I think that translates to your wife, honestly. So yeah. Anyway, I'm just pointing this out that you don't think positively of black women, and no wonder you think that there's a racial hierarchy that puts black women at the bottom of the totem pole. I just think that people who have this mentality should go with their preference. And obviously their preference is not black women. It's black women are their preference because they feel that's all they can get, but not really a matter of their preference as far as who they actually would choose given the choice. Anyway.
So I'm saying, like, I can put up those on my page, but it's like,
you know what? Thank you. You know what? That I'm glad that you said that, because that makes a lot of sense to me. So let's do this, right? Let's do this. Let's do this, right? This sounds very racist. Calling a person a monkey sounds racist. That sounds like how white people behave. It sounds like the words that white people use. So if a person who is mixed race is using racist language towards a man and his spouse, is that the behavior of a black woman, or is that the behavior of a white woman? Because I can understand if you said, oh, you know, a lot of you biracials are just white women because you're using white language, or you're just a white woman with a black parent. That's different than saying you're just a black woman with a white parent. Because are black women referring to men with their white spouses with racist language towards the white women? Are they?
so what are you saying? I was talking about how biracial women were calling my wife a monkey.
Exactly.
And I was saying that these are the same women that was bashing me for having a black wife that you are taking the thing out of context with.
No. As a matter of fact, I think I have clarity, because this is the behavior that white people exhibit. Calling people monkeys is what white people do. But instead of...
No, they don't. I've noticed more black people do that, actually. But I don't know, maybe you are thinking of what you would do. It doesn't make sense to you. I also think it doesn't make sense to me either why black people say that. But I think the reason they do that is because they feel that they feel insecure about their own blackness, so then they do that to other black people, I guess. But I've seen that plenty of times where, like, for me, for example, I've experienced black people calling me the N-word more often than white people. Like, white people have, like, basically never called me the N-word. I've had some times where I think no, I haven't. I'm like, did I get called a sand N-word once? I don't think I have. Honestly, I've never been called. My mother has, like, I've sat there and experienced my mother get called the N-word by people who weren't black several times. I've seen people call my mother an ape and stuff on here. You know, everyone knows about that. That were black people. But, like, in real life, I've never been called the N-word by white people. I've always been by black people, and it's in an offensive way. It's Nigger, not the N-word, like, with an A, basically. So, anyway, that's just my experience. Anyway, continue.
Accurately characterizing them as behaving like white women, because white women do that. White women say, oh, look at you, you're with that monkey. Look at you, you're with this black bee. White women do that.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
When you had the opportunity to call them out on their shit, you called them black women instead.
Well, that's not where I called them out on. I have other videos where I called them out on. This was a whole different conversation that, again, you're trying to conflate both of them together.
I'm not conflating. This is the example you gave. You said, because these women... Can I finish my point, please?
Yeah, go ahead.
You said, because these women called my black wife a monkey, because these black women let me rewind. Because these biracial women called my black wife a monkey, because these biracial women called my black wife a yeti with a burqa on, because these biracial women said this, they are behaving like black women. But in fact, I mean, because this is your example, I'm not conflating, I'm using your example and wondering why you use the term black women instead of white women, because these women are behaving in their privilege of whiteness.
And can I respond?
Of course, the floor is yours.
I don't think they're behaving in their privilege of whiteness. I see them as behaving in their self-hate of themselves. Some black people act that way, and some biracial people act that way. I've seen mainly, like, when I say that black people call me the N-word, it's not usually, I don't think I've ever had anyone lighter than me call me the N-word. Usually people lighter than me are like light people lighter than me are either yellow bones or what they call high yellow, because I'm a red basically. So usually those type of people know better than to go calling someone an ape, because they feel like if they call them an ape, black people are going to come down on them and get them like none other. Because light-skinned black people and biracial people that color usually don't have much leverage. Like, people are constantly making fun of them for looking white and all this nonsense. So, for those reasons, they live on eggshells, basically. They live on eggshells. They try their best to be as politically correct as possible, basically. Anyway, so that's my whole point there. I kind of just feel like honestly, like, these type of people, maybe she is thinking of people who people don't know are black. That would be more so the types. But anyway, from my experience, dark-skinned black people are usually the ones calling me the N-word because they have the leverage to do it, basically. When you're my color, you can't do that to black people that are darker than you. You can't make fun of them for their color. You'll get attacked in like every which way possible. One, and they know it, and they know they have that black card basically against you, and they're going to use it against you when they can. They can literally call you the N-word and pretend they're the victim. That's how they can roll, basically. Anyway, continue.
And as I said before, because you're trying to conflate, different things I said. But as I said before, I was comparing the way that a lot of these biracial women bash biracial men for having black spouses to the way that a lot of black women feel some type of way when black men have a white spouse. I was comparing that.
Do white women feel a certain way? Sorry, go ahead.
The women in my comments section of my videos all believe it, But all say that they feel a certain way. Some of them do, but it's about half and half. Say they feel a certain way whenever black men are with or white women. They feel a certain way about the passport bros, And I was trying to convey that in the same way, saying that a lot of biracial women that are hating on black biracial men for having a black wife or black spouse, it is kind of like the same dynamic of black women hating on, not hating, but black women feeling some type of way about black men having a white spouse or the passport bros.
I'm glad you said that.
That's what that was about. It's not about anything else. Like, again, like, I just feel like, as I told you before, like, I don't like going on these lives anymore because it's nothing but people bashing and hating, and it's just, and I just don't have time for that anymore.
I understand. And so we can have an honest conversation right now, right? Okay. When a black woman is upset with a black man for being with a white woman, why is she upset?
Oh, you're a black woman. You tell me.
I mean, but you said that you're the one who made the comment. You made the comment saying that they were behaving as if they were black women.
That they were upset that I didn't have a mixed race wife.
Okay, so then let me elaborate then, right? Black women feel, well, the particular black women who feel this way, I surmise that they feel abandoned by black men, that they feel that their community has been left, that they feel that these black men have gone after society's preference of white supremacy, right? When a black man gets with a white woman, the black woman feels as if she is slighted as lesser than, right? Black people don't really have racial slurs for white people. We don't really have racial slurs for white people, and we also live in a racist society in which it is, they say, impossible for black people to be racist because we are the recipients of racism, right? When a white person, because I can...
No, that's not true. That is one, black people have they have the monopoly on racism because they can use the fact that they are supposed to be the victims as a way to say anything I say is not racist, no matter what I say. I can literally go and call a black person, especially one who is lighter, the N-word, and no one's going to believe that I actually did it. No one is, even if people see you do it, they're going to say it's acceptable because, hey, you are the dark-skinned black person and you own blackness more, so it's okay because somehow they have a privilege over you and they deserve to be called the N-word. That's what will happen in those situations. No one is going to stand up for the lighter-skinned black person. No one's going to stand up for the biracial. No one's going to do any of that. And somehow there's a privilege after all this. I don't get how that works. Now, on the whole thing of black men with white women, and saying that they feel less than. I think more so it's the fact that sometimes some black men are verbal and will say that white women are better than black women, but I feel like honestly, that is mutually felt, but because men are more extroverted usually and they are more likely to say how they feel, not say how they feel, but say it as is, while women usually will try to keep negative feelings internal, basically. This is why you will find that black men will say stuff about black women, but black women are less likely to, even though it's felt both ways. And the reason it's felt both ways is not because black men and black women hate each other, it's more so because there's just a lack of attraction because our society is mostly white. So then basically most of the people that we see are white. And so then most of the people we're going to be attracted to are white. And therefore, it's not that black men are bad people. Not like black women are bad people. It's just that we're more attracted to people outside of our race because that's what we're exposed to. Now, on the community side, I can understand why a biracial woman would have an issue if she's using the same analogy of black women feeling like they're abandoned. Now, this is because Tanya TKO, most people know I do not have any issues with Tanya TKO of any nature. But I will say that Tanya TKO, in my opinion, she is Caribbean descent, I believe she said. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. But if you understand that, that makes sense that they would feel some sense of community because culturally you have a whole different culture than other people in America and you feel that commonality. So when black men of your culture go with white women, you feel like you're abandoned culturally because you have your own community and your own culture of Caribbean people. Now, black Americans, I wouldn't understand that because for black Americans, we aren't really a community. I mean, if you understand how slavery worked, they grabbed basically different types of people in slavery in Africa, people who warred against each other, who were having problems with each other, who were killing each other, enslaving each other, raping each other, hurting each other, just wrecking each other, okay? Just all out destroying each other. And then they all took them basically to America and put them together basically to work for white families who owned them as slaves. So obviously there was no community at the start, and I don't feel there's going to be a community at the end because we didn't have anything to start with. Culturally, we were stripped of any cultural connection to those people as well because we had our family split. Our racial background is even different now because of the mixture of the European populations and the cultural influence of white Americans is the major influence for Black Americans. So I feel like culturally and community wise, we don't have a community or a culture. So there is no abandoning anyone because we were never a union to start with. We were a union by white people because they discriminated against us, segregated us, and enslaved us before that. So that's why we were singled out. But we at this point should never want to be singled out again because obviously we don't have the numbers to be singled out. We don't have the power. And thirdly, because it doesn't benefit us in any regard. It only benefits the other side to do that. So, like, culturally, we are similar. It's only that we've been judged for our color that singled us out and separated us. So, I don't feel we have a community. So, a Black man with a white woman in our culture, to me, is not an abandonment because we're all of the same culture in the first place. Like, the white woman is the same culture as the Black man. White man is the same culture as the Black woman. We're all one American family. So, yeah, that's all I wanted to say there. Continue, though, with the rest of this. I'm going to end at 25 minutes, and then I'm going to start over and do another video. So let's
show you a video, and I probably need to react to this video. It would take me a second to try to pull it up right now, but in the video, it's an episode of Cheaters. And you know what? I sent this video to my sister, so I wonder if I can pull it up real quick, but I'll just explain it to you. In this episode of Cheaters, this Black guy had these two white girls, and he cheated on the white girls with a Black woman. And those white girls were like, how dare you get with that Black bitch? How dare you want to leave with that Black bitch, right? Because in their minds, they feel that the Black woman is lesser than them. So why would you want to go down and be with this monkey, right? So when you were in this conversation with these biracial women, they weren't expressing the hurt of feeling like their community was abandoned by society's preference. They were expressing the white supremacy and dominance of, how dare you be with that Black monkey? They weren't acting like Black women, they were acting like white women. They were exalting their white superiority and pushing it onto you like, why don't you be with mixed? So that's the thing that is...
Yeah, I get her point there, but I also think that in total, that whole ideology is not beneficial to biracials because it's saying that they're inferior to white women. You have to remember, we do not live in whatever country, like in any Caribbean country, African country. We don't live over there. Most people are white. So when people have that mentality, it's like it's gonna bite you in the butt no matter how you see it if you're not white. The only way you can have a belief in the white hierarchy of thinking white is on top is if you are white. You can't be any other color and still hold that ideology and still think that you are going to somehow be on top. You can't really be. So, continue.
Confusing to me.
Well, it's two different conversations. The conversation that's being shown in the text message is a different conversation than the other one. So again, the conversation in the text message, we were talking about how biracial women hate biracial men, and how biracial women have been bashing me and other biracial men for having black spouses and defending our black spouses and black women in general on our channels. And I was trying to compare that to how a lot of black women feel some type of way about black men having a non-black spouse. That's all that conversation was about.
Okay. Well,
I can email you the rest of the screenshots from there, because that's just one small bit of an entire conversation that took place in my Discord.
Right. The only way that I knew, because when I asked you to give context to it, you were the one who talked about the monkey reference, and then now you're saying that these are different conversations. But this is your example. This is what you brought up. You added that monkey and yeti to the conversation. You added that.
I added that because I wanted to give you background on the type of women, biracial women, mixed race women that were trying to that I sent you this information. Like, I have screenshots of that too from my own Discord, of them calling my wife those things, of them saying that I should divorce my black wife and marry a mixed race woman.
But you're the one who's conflating, and I'll tell you what you're conflating. You're conflating a conversation that existed off air, outside of our purview, from people we don't know, that we never saw make these comments. And you're adding that into a conversation that you say is about something totally different. You say that the text first I asked you to give context to the written message, right? And the context that you gave was about the yeti and the monkey, etc. But that has no bearing on that particular text. It has no bearing on it. It has nothing to do with it, according to you. So that's the part that just doesn't align. It doesn't add up. You're the one that's mixing in two different conversations to add credence to a message that you wrote about black women, and adding black women into a conversation in which we really didn't need to be in. Why did we have to get dragged into this conversation about some biracial women expressing their superiority?
That wasn't because I was giving you context on the type of people that were trying to paint me in a certain way. That's all that was.
Okay. All right. Well, I will move on from there. I mean, I hope everybody got their answer that they needed from that.
It's kind of like obvious, like, to me, that like someone like that would, they have this idea of biracial people, and they don't like specifically. To me, they have this idea that everyone is inferior to white women and white men, and like the problem between him and them was the sense that they had a different ideology towards people of, like, they had the same ideology towards black women at the end of the day, but he just didn't want them to feel better than his wife, and that's the way he coped with it, in my opinion. So, I mean, like, he's telling you exactly how he feels about black women. Like I said, the most important problem here is the fact that there's a lot of dysfunction, obviously, if this is what he thinks of his wife. So anyway, continue.
I don't feel as if I got any clarity from that. But you said you're going to add a whole bunch of, screenshots that add into the conversation, which we don't have available right now. So I'm just telling you, as a person who read it, it looked like an insult to black women. Like, black women were added into a conversation. For what reason? Why did we have to be dragged into that? Why? Why did we have to be dragged into a conversation between you and some biracial women acting like biracial women?
Because I was making a comparison to two situations. That's all that was. If y'all...
Yeah, I don't feel that, like, I think it's kind of obvious. I mean, like, I just feel like with this whole situation is this. I think in total it's okay that he thinks negatively of black women as long as he pursued somebody who was actually his preference. He pursued black women, and that's what is kind of, to me, the bad point of this. Not particularly that he thinks negatively of black women. To me, if he thinks negatively of dark-skinned black women, he is not dark-skinned himself. If he did really actually identify with being biracial through and through, and he really wanted to identify as biracial, and he pursued women who were white, to me, everything would be in line. And if that's how he wants to view black women for himself, that's not really anyone's business to me. As long as he doesn't discriminate against black women, I don't care if he thinks black women are worthy of him dating, marrying, or whatever. It's just the fact that he has this view while having claimed to marry a black woman, that's just like a little sad to me. It's sad that this is his perspective of himself and this is his perspective of his wife. So that's all I have to say in this video. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, comment down below, and have a great day. Bye, guys.